Hi chicos, I am going to draw here quickly the bottles that you have been drawing in class so you have them for reference. First of all, we draw the horizon line, right? Horizon line for reference. Remember that we place our hand in front of our eyes to see the distance between this imaginary line, which is the horizon line, and the bottles. So I'm going to start drawing the big bottle. And the first thing that I want to do is the vertical axis, and then the horizontal axis that touches the table. Then I want to draw these ellipses here. Then before drawing the ellipses, you need to pay close attention to how open this curve is in the actual drawing that or bottle that you are drawing, right? So I think it's about that open. Remember that if you choose this distance, you have to have the same distance towards the other side, and then you need to compare you need to look at your subject and see and decide how open do you want, or how wide do you want these ellipses. Okay, once you have the 4 dots, then you draw the corners, right? Remember that when drawing these corners, you need to be very aware that you want this line hit that other curve here at the top. So while making these ellipses or these corners, they should be open enough so they can eventually match. All right, so to draw as soft as possible so we can retrace the lines that we are interested in keeping in the future. Right, now the next ellipsis, we need to draw it in relation to the very first ellipsis that we draw. If I compare the width of this ellipsis with the height of next ellipsis, I'm going to realize that it's exactly the same. So we call that sighting. And because making a drawing is all about comparisons, now I need to decide how open do you want the next ellipsis. Then I move up this point just to decide how open do I see these ellipses, right? So I think it's about that distance. So notice that making a drawing is making comparisons. First, I compare this width with height, right? Something important to remember is that we use the bottom line for measurement, nor the second one or the third one, but the bottom line, right? So by sighting, I realize that this width is the same height than the next ellipsis, and then I'm making a relationship between the width of this ellipsis with the next one, right? So deciding that this is going to be how open I want that ellipsis. Now, before continuing, I'm going to remind you that if this is the horizon line, sorry, I'm going to move a little bit my sketchbook. If this is the horizon line, everything that is at the horizon line is going to look flat. We won't be able to see nor the top or the bottom, none of those, right? But if it moves down or below the horizon line, then this line start to open. So we see a little bit of the surface of that ellipsis or of that circle, right? Okay, let's see. Let's say this has a width. I want to suggest here, right? And if I keep moving down, this ellipsis is going to open. And now I'm going to draw the width. And if I draw another one here, it's going to be even wider. Right. And that is going to be the math, right? Or the rational. As I move down in relation to the horizon line, this ellipse is going to appear to be open. So I'm going to draw the last one. So the last one is going to be very open. And that's how I create the illusion that some cylinder moves in the space. All right, maybe this is a little bit exaggerated, but my intention is to make it clear. Okay, having here this for reference, and this is true also if I am moving upwards. If a body, a cylinder or a circular lid or cap moves above the horizon line, what I'm going to see is not the top but the bottom, and the ellipse is going to be more open each time. So knowing this second ellipsis then needs to be a little bit thinner than that one, right? So I just noticed that this distance and that one is a little bit different, so I'm going to adjust that. Nothing wrong with that, all right? So we need to make the corrections in the way as we discovered them. Let's say I have here 1 centimeter, then I am going to have here a little bit less than 1 centimeter, right? And then I'm going to draw my curves, the 4 corners, and then I'm going to connect. All right, then I need to draw my third ellipsis. Remember that we draw an ellipsis every time there is a change of direction. So the next change of direction that I see is the same height. Looks like this bottle is very proportional, right? So I'm going to continue moving this line upwards to keep the proportion. And then looking at my model, I ask or I wonder if it looks exactly the same or a little bit thinner. And it looks to me that it is the same, so I'm going to keep it. But the width is going to be the same, but the opening of the ellipse is going to be slightly closer, so I'm going to close it. Right, so again, I'm going to repeat. This is how we recreate the illusion of depth. Remember that the paper is two-dimensional and the world is three-dimensional. That's actually the difficulty of making a drawing. Then, I'm almost done. For connecting the ellipses, what I do is this. Do you see how cool? And by connecting, my bottle starts to appear. So I notice that this curve is convex while this one is in the other direction, right? When joining the corners, the exterior line is a continuum, so be sure that it looks like a continuum, and also be sure that it looks symmetrical. Then I'm changing the direction of the other side. Great. This is looking beautiful, right? Now I'm gonna draw the next ellipsis, and I realize it's again the same height. This is nice. I'm gonna keep moving these lines up for reference. And by looking at my photograph or my bottles, I think this line, this ellipsis here, is slightly thinner, so I'm gonna close it. And the ellipsis is even closer, right? Each time I see less surface in my, okay, I draw my corners first, and then I connect. Right. So there is a third element here, which I'm gonna draw. Here I have another ellipsis. It's gonna be very small, right? Still an ellipsis. And I have another ellipsis here at the bottom. Right, so I'm gonna draw it. And then we are gonna observe how we connect these elements here. Right. I'm gonna grow this here, all the way to the top, all the way to the top. Now I need to be sure that I have the same distance to each side of my vertical axis. And then I'm going to review how this connects with the surface of my cup. Right, it's looking cool. Now, well, I have here another element, which is the lid. I can draw another ellipsis here, or I can just mirror this curve here, and that both ways work. To make it work, when we draw this ellipsis, actually the suggestion is to start the ellipsis or this curve from the side so it looks connected. And here we can do a nice connection here to suggest that this gets thinner. And of course, if you want to keep adding details, I can add here a plane, which is going to give more sense of volume to my bottle. Now I'm going to draw this little tiny cup that my bottle has on top. In the same way, I should draw this axis, so I keep proportional my cup. That's looking cool. Then right in the center now I need to pay attention to the negative shape that this handle creates, right? So pay close attention to the negative shape, this. Once you get it wrong, correct, then you can start adding more information, all right? So now in this moment, I am adding the information of the thickness. Okay, so let me find an eraser, which is here in my desk. So this is the thickness or the width of that stripe that is gonna go all the way here to the top. Like that. And in the other hand, I can draw here the thickness of the stripe. So it's gonna look more three-dimensional. Do you see how cool? This is cool. All right, so I'm gonna give you time to complete your assignment. Remember that we want to see the construction lines, so don't erase them. The secret is to keep your drawing or your construction lines as transparent as possible, so you don't need to erase them. All right, we are not shading by the moment because we want to be sure that we understand form and structure before continuing. Then I want you to draw the second bottle, which is when there is an element already in the canvas, so the second element, you need to make connections or relations with that one. So if I pay attention to the upper part of the second bottle, my second bottle should not go above this line. I am using that line as reference. And I am looking now at the negative shapes here, and I realize that the bottom line of this bottle should not go farther than that. Now I need to observe the negative shape here in between of the bottles and draw the vertical line, right? Maybe a little bit farther here. So this is going to be the heart of my, right, sorry. No farther than that, and this is going to be the vertical axis. Okay. So now I'm going to draw the bottom of my second bottle. Should be more open than that one because it's lower than that one, right? So it's going to look something like this. And I can use this for reference too. Alright, so I have it here. I think I need to stop because students are arriving to my classroom while I am making a video. All right, I'm gonna stop here. See you in a while. Bye.